So therefore, access to relevant information becomes a critical enabler and empowering agent for caregivers. And we would like to use our technology-enabled platform, which includes our app and our website for supporting caregivers. What we have done so far is built a platform, an app, a website. We have pre-designed programs, and we customize programs to create online and offline education for different types of constituencies like caregivers, well-wishers, corporates, etc. We have an app. We have a community both on Facebook as well as on WhatsApp. And we run a video series called Gentle Warriors. We thought Gentle Warriors might be a way for us to honor caregivers. And when caregivers tell their stories, it's a way not just for them to heal themselves, but also to inspire and encourage other active caregivers so that they feel supported and they feel that they are not lonely in their journeys. So if you know of caregivers who may be willing to share their stories on video, do let us know. We also have Compassionate Caring, which is video series as well as webinars for caregivers and well-wishers of caregivers so that they can interact with experts like today's session in terms of recognizing that caregiving is a healthy balance of caring for the loved one as well as the caregiver. So compassionate caring is compassion towards the recipient as well as towards the caregiver and the rest of the system. So this webinar series is a part of compassionate caring. We also have one-on-one caregiver coaching so that caregivers can be taken through their caregiving journeys over a period of time. We provide family counseling, and we have a volunteer-based respite care program. So you can find yourself in any of these and see what might be relevant for you on how you could get involved by participating in the healing circles, sharing the caregiving stories, spreading the word, volunteering. We are a not-for-profit organization, so raising funds and donating to us is a key component. We also have a very thriving internship program. This summer, we ran an internship program for as many as 34 interns who worked in various areas across psychology, social media, marketing, and back office development. And finally, we always need your good references with partners, hospitals, and organizations. We have a framework through which we address the 7 elements of well-being and building resilience. We believe that at the center of the 7 elements of well-being include physiological, financial, legal, psychological, spiritual, social, life and work purpose, and creative expression. Stress is caused by an imbalance in this well-being, and when there is unaddressed chronic stress over a long period of time, it could lead to mental health issues, and these are critical elements for caregivers to manage. Caregivers need to build resilience through practices of mind, body, and soul, and we would like to work on these aspects. For more on our framework of well-being and our framework of resilience, you can get in touch with us and we could give you more information through our website. Now to the stellar speakers for today. It's my honor and privilege to introduce you to Dr. Suvarna Alladi, who perhaps needs no introduction, is a professor of neurology at NIMHANS, Bangalore, and she was a Commonwealth Research Fellow in Cognitive and Behavioral Neurology at Cambridge, UK in 2004. And on returning to India, she established one of the first memory clinics in Hyderabad that has provided multidisciplinary care to more than 2,000 patients with dementia. Recognizing the limited availability of diagnostic tests for dementia in diverse contexts, Dr. Suvarna coordinated a multicentric study that adapted cognitive tests for different Indian languages. That's so precious. We just limit ourselves by, thinking as if English will do everything. And both for literates and illiterates, I think it just speaks to the fact that she just thinks inclusive. Her group's work in dementia focuses on investigating complex influence of life course experiences, especially bilingualism, education, and social engagement, to understand development of risk and resilience against dementia. Creating awareness and organizing community support for dementia is a focus of an NGO that she co-founded in Hyderabad, and that is ARDSI Hyderabad. And sorry, this slide is saying something at the bottom of it, which I cannot read. I am going to ask Dr. Suvarna to talk about it herself.
I think it's
fine. I will move to our second speaker. Vidya Shenoy is the Secretary General of the of Alzheimer's and Related Disorders Society of India, which is ARDSI. She's the Honorary Secretary of the Mumbai chapter and a panel member of Maharashtra State Mental Health Authority for the government of Maharashtra. She practices integrative therapies for those seniors who are affected by Alzheimer's and dementia and children with special needs. She is fervently committed to the cause of Alzheimer's and dementia and is successfully running a dementia daycare center in Mumbai called Universe of Memory, Smriti Vishwam, that has been awarded International Quality Certification ISO 9001-2015. She works very hard to promote the cause of dementia through writing and keeping dated with research. ARDSI Mumbai chapter organizes awareness talks to spread more awareness, followed by memory screening, participating in health camps, conducting dementia care skills, training modules, counseling, carer and family support sessions, and integrative therapies for risk reduction for elders. ARDSI Mumbai has a Purple Citizens Brigade made for young volunteers who are very supportive, and she is focused and persistent to create a dementia-friendly society. Finally, Shailesh Mishra. Shailesh Mishra has around 15 years of hardcore marketing experience in corporate world, and since the last 12 years, actively involved with the elderly. I have personally, in my first meeting with him, encountered his passion and how his heart totally beats for the elderly. It was a very milestone meeting for me personally. His organization, Silver Innings, since April 2008, is working towards creating an elder-friendly world where aging becomes a positive and rewarding experience. I feel that that's such an incredible goal to have. In 2005, in his early 40s, he left his well-paid corporate job to work for his passion with senior citizens. It is, which he believes is the most neglected and the ignored segment. His work in the field of dementia is worthy of commending. He effectively uses his technology, which is social media, PR, networking, advocacy skills to reach out to civil society all over the globe. I can vouch for that. He has delivered lectures and participated in various international and national conferences and seminars. He is a guest faculty at TIS, Nirmala Niketan College of Social Work, UNINIA, LT College of Nursing, Government of India, and NISD, to name a few. He has won several awards, including National Award Karamveer Puraskar in 2008 and Karamveer Jyoti in 2016, and has participated in various summits. And his remarkable work in the field of dementia and elder right advocacy has brought him accolades, respect, and support from many renowned organizations across the world. This is the best part. In 2013, his biography story, Son of Million Parents, was published in an inspiration book, Karma Kari, published by Jayco. He is one of the 26 inspiring souls to be profiled. So he is also, he has launched his first book, Remember Me, which is about dementia. With that, I would like to make some admin announcements for us today. We will spend the next 60 minutes to have a discussion around the topic and its implications for compassionate caring. During the presentation, I would request you to stay on mute, and please feel free to write your comments, questions, observations, feelings in the chat box. That will help us to interact once we have the question answer session, which follows. And finally, we will have the feedback and suggestions from you so that we can better design similar webinars in the future. If you are seated and your camera is stable, then keep it on, else we request you to turn it off because it can be quite disturbing. We are live streaming this particular webinar, and so please be aware that we are live on Facebook. All right, with that, I would like to talk to each one of our guests, starting with you, Suvarna. When you think about the topic, befriending Alzheimer's, a multidimensional view, what would you like to say?
So a very good afternoon to all of you. And thank you, Bhavana, for this invitation and listening to your organization and all that it does for caregivers, for being their friend, so Saathi, for the innovative ideas that you have had and that you are executing. I congratulate you, and I'm very grateful that I will be talking to your friends today on this webinar. So when I saw Vidya Shenoy and Shailesh Mishra on the panel, I knew already that this was going to be very novel. We are all giving, this is a World Alzheimer's Month, and this is the time when we are all going to be expressing solidarity for persons with dementia and trying to create awareness for them. The theme for this year is Let's Talk About Dementia. And we have been talking and talking. We all meet each other on different webinars. But I must confess that those have been easy. This one is completely a new topic. I think this is the first time in the Indian context that this topic is being discussed. And I really think Bombay has been ahead in many ways, philanthropy, a sense of social responsibility, the neurology friends I have, the neuropsychology friends I have, their research in neurology way before any part of the country was doing world-class research. It has come from Bombay, and there's Bollywood in Bombay, and I'm a big fan of Hindi films. So, but I think this is a new topic. It's stretching, as you said, our minds. So when we talk about befriending Alzheimer's disease, you've asked us to talk about our view. What I'd like to say is that I asked you just before the seminar, why us? You said you're experts. I beg to differ. The point, the beginning point of trying to help people is to recognize that persons with dementia are the experts. To recognize that they are going to be leading us towards where we need to go as society. And I think that will be the focus of my talk subsequently. I just spend a minute now. I speak as a neurologist that has spent a lot of time trying to understand problems of persons with dementia and improve their care. It's been a long journey. We thought we will pop pills and they will get better. But along the way, we made friends with psychologists, with speech and language therapists, with psychiatrists, and then with government officials, and then with NGOs, and then with linguists. The number of stakeholders that are involved in the care of dementia, our friendship circle is really increasing and increasing. And I think into this friendship circle, at the center of the circle, is where the person with dementia should be. And that's what I think dementia has come from a person with dementia. It was not there in our textbooks. It was not there in the it was not there all that much in our fellowships, in all the training that we had. If a new person with dementia comes to me for care, it's because of what I have learned and what I have learned from other persons with dementia and their caregivers. So I think the main reason we need to befriend them if we are in the field is because they are the recognized experts in care. The second point which I'd like to focus on is about their rights. It's absolutely the right of a person with dementia to get involved in the care. And I think it is about basic rights. So there is no way that we can go ahead in this journey without them. Autonomy is very important. And then it has, I do a fair amount of research in dementia. And I find that even my success in research has come from a person with dementia, from understanding why some people are doing better, why some people are not getting dementia, why do people get it late, and that I've got from caregivers. And I think what I'd like to focus on today will be if there's one take home message, it will be about that they are equal partners. They're equal partners in care, they're equal partners in research, and they're equal partners in life in general. And so what I'll do after this is how do we engage meaningfully persons with dementia in our lives? Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. So beautifully said. I think keeping the person at the center is so essential. And sometimes we tend to either become protective or we tend to take charge, and that might be overstepping certain boundaries. So thank you for that context. I would like to, move to Vidya, and Vidya, ask you to reflect on the topic and the idea of befriending Alzheimer's and your perspective from having worked with so many patients and caregivers.
Thank you, Bhavana, for having me here with eminent professionals like Dr. Suvarna and Shailesh. And I think the response has been excellent from participants also. I'm very passionate about persons with dementia. And I believe that just as other parts of the body, the other organs have problems, so does the brain have. If we access physicians or specialists for getting treated by them for that particular disease, I think it's time we all realize that anybody could have dementia or mental health disorder, for which we are working very hard to create more awareness to remove social stigma. Also, I feel that because they have lesser cognition, it doesn't mean that they cannot think for themselves or feel. They are alive within. So I feel that, we should respect them as individuals who have a right to express, maybe in a non-verbal communication way, but we have to respect their individuality and, being. To me, befriending means to make them inclusive in daily life, to look out, to be vigilant for people showing any of the 10 signs that are recognized by the World Health Organization as being the main signs for a person with dementia or early onset. What do we do when we befriend them besides including them? We are actually assuring them that we are there for them, whether they need us or not. Just the assurance, it's enough. It's like singing a song to them when they've forgotten the words. To be able to be there, to let them know that they're special, they mean the world to us, because they may not have anyone to let them know that they are special. In which way it helps the person with dementia to know that they are not dispensable. They have a personality, and we have to delve into their past, their experience, their wealth of experience, to cash in on that aspect for society or the community. It could start with a family, a grandparent affected by dementia, a grandchild not knowing why is the grandparent repeating the same thing all the time. You can't blame the child because he's not aware. So I feel, it's important that we continue to go to schools at whatever level to give them at their point of understanding the way they should handle grandparents with respect and with patience and empathy, because grandparents tend to go on who are affected by dementia or even otherwise. They have short-term memory loss and they may go on repeating the same thing. I think it's just nice that, we let them know, we make them aware that people with dementia need us. And actually, personally, I feel we need them more for a simple reason that they are making us evolve spiritually within. They are making us grow without any tuition fees. You know how educational fees are very expensive. Here they're willing to give you, they're willing to impart what they know. So I think we should be wise to absorb like a sponge, what they're willing to give unknowingly or knowingly. We are in a win-win situation. Lastly, when we do give them the inclusion and the support, we are actually improving our own well-being and our quality of life. It's only thereafter that they get it. We are not doing a favor to them. Within, we should understand that we are being favored by them. And of course, I consider it a very big blessing to be able to be with these elders or persons with dementia, to give an X amount, but to gain X to infinity. So I think we should be there to let them know we are unconditionally there. Now with the COVID situation, we cannot, do non-verbal by giving a hug or clasping the hand. We have, when we do online therapy, we have our family with dementia coming close to the phone. When I say, oh, I want to give you a hug and a kiss. So I say, okay, this is from me. So they do this, but when I go to kiss them and they are coming close to the screen and doing, what can you not gain from this? So that's what befriending means to me. Thank you.
I like your reflections and very well articulated. Hi, Prasad. Good to see you here. With that, I would like to move to Shailesh. Shailesh, you have such an extensive experience and so many perspectives. Very often, there are family members that are long distance caregivers, and they have their own struggles and their own challenges. What is your take on this idea of befriending Alzheimer's or dementia?
First of all, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity with all the expert Vidya ji and Suvarna ji. And this month is Let's Talk About Dementia. We have been talking about dementia. Not only this month, I think last 15, 20 years, we have been talking about dementia. But this year the topic is Let's Talk About Dementia. So whole idea of befriending dementia is about the person. I think here the focus should move from disease to person. When we talk about disease, then we forget the person. I think that is what is important. Person doesn't go anywhere. He or she is there. He or she is there in the house. They might forget. They might is forgetful. They might forget activity of daily living, the behavior, but the heart always remember. They have these emotions. Child, when we parenting the child, as a time to parenting our parent, where we are learning every day. And we need to build this institution of family. Befriending is our relationship where we need to protect, we need to treasure, we need to sow the seed of relationship when the person is suffering with dementia. And here we also should not forget the carer, because the carer is the person who's
Yes.
taking care of the person. And I think focus from dementia person to carer, this is a relationship. That's why my book Remember Me is about you, me, and dementia. It's a triangle. So the family is involved, the person is
Mm.
involved. It's
Yes.
a multi-dimensional, it's a multi-stakeholder. Everybody's involved. So for me, it's a focus on the person, the human being we need to take care of, whether he or she is our parent, grandparents, wife or husband. But do not forget that he or she is there. And dementia and Alzheimer is just, I think it's very common like diabetes. When I go to talk, I talk about diabetes and blood pressure. We take medicine and we are living with it. We have to live with dementia. It's very good. It's very normal. They are
Yeah.
stressful time, but
Yeah.
I think the family relationship is very important. Befriending for me, building a close relationship.
Absolutely. No, thank you. And thank you for giving that perspective. The reason that I was keen to look at it like a befriending exercise, or like the mental state with which we approach it. And here I would like to bring in the idea of compassionate caring, and the idea of the fact that sometimes it can feel overwhelming and it can feel burdensome for the carer or the caregiver. There are different names for the same thing, but over a period of time they can be they can be frustration, they can be guilt, they can be compassion fatigue. So to you, Dr. Suvarna, looking at a caregiver who is most likely the sandwich generation, what have been some of the experiences that you have felt were milestones, or what do you think about the emotional aspects for the caregiver?
Speaking as a neurologist, I think we have Vidya and Shailesh talking about the other perspectives. I think speaking as a neurologist, what I see that affects the emotional state of a caregiver is their lack of understanding of the change in the behavior of the person with dementia, and for many years causing a huge amount of stress within the family. So the person is forgetful, or they're doing socially embarrassing things, or they're accusing lifelong retainers in their homes of stealing, and there's a lack of empathy towards their family members, or they're appear willfully hurtful to children in the house. So suddenly you have this, or there is a financial gullibility, so they've lost a lot of money. So if you think in a normal house, if these things happen, you imagine the stress among the family members. So if you don't know that this is a disease, the stress, and then you're not able to reason with them because there's a lack of insight. So I think the first thing that the caregiver feels is sometimes years of facing a lot of problems that they didn't know was due to dementia at all. The second emotional problem they have is, as it gets worse and it becomes clearer to them that this is not normal, this is not the person they knew. This is the person they knew is there, but this is something else is happening to them. Something is happening to them. Dementia is happening to them. And then they come to the hospital, and I think the next thing they see when they meet professionals is that really there isn't much um, compassion in our healthcare systems for persons with dementia. We don't look like we are their friends. So when you're a heart surgeon, you cut open the ribs to fix the heart. That is an act of a friend. But for dementia, we can't be that kind of a doctor. We are not surgeons. We can't give an expensive tablet and say it gets better. So the least we can do is be compassionate, and our healthcare systems are not yet. So the first point of healthcare is not. So what I have seen is that they go from pillar to post, or they go to, and they have come to us with very bad experiences and very bad stories to tell about their experiences. So that's the second emotional trauma. And the third thing is because of their lack of awareness, they come to the doctor, they got a diagnosis, and then but they want them to get better.
The cure.
Want them to become all right, not
Cure.
they want to go back, and nothing is enough, and that is an emotional distress. That is where the professionals, we get into distress, because the person with dementia does not know that, the caregiver does not know that it may not be fixed. There are many treatable causes of dementia. I must tell you that not all dementia is not curable. There are about 15 to 20% that can actually become completely all right. There vitamin deficiency, inflammatory causes. And then we become their friends, because we are not able to help with the quick fix solution. And that is the stress they face. And then depending upon the stage of the disease, each year, each month is different. It's not like you have a disease where it's the same. If it's a earache, it's a earache till the ache goes. Or if it's a bone pain, it's a bone pain. Or if I can't see, I can't see. Here, every day, one day it's memory problem, one day you can't find the right word, one day you can't sign a check, one day you can't recognize your family member, one day he's very agitated, he's not sleeping in the night. So every day is a new planet for them. So then that goes on for many years. And then the lack of caregiver support for the stress that they're facing. So then the person that comes in is a social worker. Then the friend that comes in is a psychologist. And then the hope that actually don't look at people with dementia as people who can't do something. And so when we do a cognitive test, we score them on 100 and we say they scored 60 on 100. So normal is 84 or 90. So 60, but 60 is still 60. So they still have so much cognition left. And then it starts becoming a little better, because then you start seeing, oh, he can do this. Oh, he can do this. Or with speech therapy, my mother is actually speaking now. She wasn't speaking. Or there is with exercise, or with listening to old songs, or with, there are many therapies that we do for them as a group, multidisciplinary group. They actually get better. And then the friendship is, it's a good day in the friendship. And then we need NGOs. So you have to set, and then you have, and most of our NGOs are set up by carers.
Yeah.
Most of them, if you see, they are the ones who understand the disease, and they are the ones who set it up, and then they become heroes really. So most of the ARDSI, Hyderabad Deccan is only caregivers, and they know more than us. They are the ones who lead the work. So that is, and then there's a problem of we did so many things with such expectations, and then you discover life, and then you say it's not. Somebody promises a daycare center, it doesn't happen, and then you don't have funds. So the stress of being a carer, and then there are individual problems of finding skilled carers.
Yes.
And then there are very difficult challenges that you face when a person doesn't know how to manage a person with dementia. So the ayah or the nurse doesn't have an idea, and then the doctor, so many things. So that is the other stress that they face. And then as the life ends, towards the end, that we don't have adequate palliative care programs. So I think from the beginning to the end, it's a challenge, but I must tell you that it is also brought out the best in our relationships. It's with none of us has left. We have all been here for 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. Doesn't look like we're going anywhere. So somewhere there is some hope, I think. And this year particularly, the COVID has been so bad, but the number of programs that are happening, the way we are all reaching out. So I would say it's challenging, but we are all together in it. And when we are all together in it, it's actually, it's quite
No, indeed.
hopeful.
I am actually quite pleased with the number of people that we have on our call today, and I'm going to request my colleague Nabia to run a small poll for us to get a sense of how people relate with the caregiving role. So we have a brief poll which the participants can respond to on whether they are active caregivers or they see themselves as well-wishers of caregivers, or they see themselves as potentially caregivers in the near future. And we can design some of the things. So thank you, Dr. Suvarna, about that. I would like to move to Vidya. Vidya, if you could tell me a story or an incident in your experience with either a person with Alzheimer's or a caregiver with Alzheimer's that you believe was a milestone and a story you would love to share. Unmute yourself, please.
Actually, every day there's a new story, and each story is precious to us. I remember a couple of stories which I would like to make it brief and share it with you. We had this 87-year-old lady who we called Mama, and a 92-year-old lady who taught stitching for 68 years. And both her children said, I don't think Mummy is going to stay, even for the day, even for an hour. So I said, sometimes life gives us pleasant surprises that we never expected at all, least of it from the home family member. So here's this lady who comes in, and somehow she settled down very easily and well. She befriended other, family members, and she spent the day. And every hour had get a call from either of the children saying, is Mummy troubling you all? And I'd say, the third call came in, and I said, by the way, you're troubling me because your mother is not troubling us at all. And the day passed off easily, and she was at the door when Mama came to her and she put her arm around her shoulder and she said, are you going to come in tomorrow? So being short and, being, short of temper and even her patient, she said, why do you want to ask me? Why should I tell you? Who are you? So she said, no, I'm your friend. So she said, I'm not your friend. So I said, doesn't matter. I'm your friend. Okay. You are my friend. If I'm not your friend, no problem. You are my friend. She continued to say, the reason I'm asking you is, if you're coming tomorrow, I think I'll wait for you. And that's the time we realized we were on the right track. And the recent story before the lockdown was, one of the family members came and said, what is Valentine's Day? So I said, that's a day that they say, I love you once a year in Western countries. But we say every day to our family members, I love you in other ways of expression. So he said, no, but there's a party, he said. So I said, what would you like to do? He said, I'd like to have a party too. I said, where would you like to have it? And, he's a guy who used to swim when he was young and all. So he said, I'd love to have a beach party. Now that was asking for the man on the moon. So I just told him, I said, I don't know whether I can give you a beach party, but I will try and see if we can arrange a party in a club which faces the sea. Providentially, I had a friend who was a member there, and we had a party. And the club, committee members were so warm, we had shamiyanas set up with umbrellas, and we had taken balloons, heart-shaped balloons, and, everything red. And we had told the family member, nobody will be allowed to enter unless they wear red. So all of us spotted red. Goodie bags were made. There were 2 birthdays. In fact, one was a member and one was a relative. So we bought 2 cakes, plus the third cake was Valentine's Day special. Of course, the diabetic people were excited, but they weren't given as much. They were given, a little prasad kind of thing, that this is prasad, so eat little, but they got it. Now here it was that we started at about 11 o'clock, and then it got over at about 3, and they sat on, which we sat also. And then when they were leaving, they said, "Do you think we can come here again today?" That means they were still alive. They still loved the person to person approach. They felt that they were precious to us. And when they were leaving, when one said, "I love you," all of them said, "I love you, bye bye." What more can you ask? You see? These are the
That's
two things
beautiful.
that
It's a
strike
very
me.
heartwarming story. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
As I think about it, but as I also think about, like I was referring to the sandwich generation, right? A typical person in the sandwich generation has growing up children, they have aging parents, they are also perhaps at the peak of their career. And, there's a lot of draw on your energies in multiple directions. And so, being a caregiver in that stage can be quite exhausting. So, knowing that sometimes caregivers might feel anxiety, shame, feeling social embarrassment, like Dr. Suvarna said. Shailesh, what I would like you to touch upon is what is it that well wishers of caregivers or other members of caregivers can do when caregivers are dealing with Alzheimer's or dementia?
Yes, I think that's a major challenge all the family members have. But let me tell, let us go back. I think before talking to dementia about dementia, we should understand the country changing, the demographic shift. There's a migration happening from the village to the city, and from joint family to micronuclear family, and now nuclear family and now micronuclear family. So things have changed. So caregiving, disease, any disability is not the same now. In joint family, everybody could be looked after. There were lot many helping hand. But when I come from village to city, my father, mother is somewhere else. So I have to depend on the relatives. Or if I am in the micronuclear family, we are divided. My wife is working somewhere else, I am working somewhere else, child is somewhere else. So there is a lack of family presence in dementia. And I think this is very challenging for all of us, because in dementia, the importance is presence of human being. It's not about robot, it's not about nurse. There has to be somebody there who who is known to you, who has a rapport with you, whom the person, dementia person, feel secured, and like
Safe.
they, yeah, they feel good about it. So, but we are not there. So what we can do is, first of all, talk about dementia. We should not hide it. My father and mother is suffering with dementia is to be told. It's
Mm.
not stigma anymore, because if you don't tell people, how will people know? So, and then we should go ahead and talk about, this is not a somebody gone mad. They are suffering with certain problem. We need to help. And I would like to have certain help. Like example, I'm going to my office. I need somebody to help me for cooking service, for tiffin, for meal service. That is one thing.
Yes.
A caregiver might be needed. Or I need to go to bank. Can somebody can come and help my parents? Or just stay at home. Just
Yes.
don't do anything. Or somebody paying the bills. So there are so many but here, if you shy yourself, then you are unfortunately denying the care to the person. So don't shy. That is my first suggestion. There is no stigma. Anybody can suffer with dementia, Alzheimer's. It can happen to anybody. And when somebody is suffering, ask for help. Asking help is it's good thing, and don't be guilt that you are doing or you're not doing. You have to do it because they are parents, and if you're not able to do it, there are professional agencies. So, and now there are no families also.
Yeah.
Families, we are, I'm not saying we are selfish, but we are busy in our life, right? So we have agencies, we have daycare centers, we have assisted living, we have home, we have home care services. There are many opportunities that has opened up. So
That's right.
we need to take that help. Example, your caregiver Saathi.
Yes.
So there are multi-dimensional things have opened up for the family. And also, while we are talking about help, what family can take help. I think one thing we forget, I think this is constantly happening to us when family call us, we all forget caring is one part, but other part is activity of daily living. Example, whether you have a will, whether you have a power of attorney, whether you have advanced directive, whether how I should be taken care. Example, my dad is staying in this flat. What will happen to the society? Who will pay the bills? What is nomination? Insurance, mediclaim. I think this also need to be taken care. Here again, family should take help of the lawyer, their attorney, their financial advisor. There are many who, and if you know as the people, to prepare yourself, educate yourself, and don't shy away from the problem. I think, and also involve children. Don't keep
Yeah.
children away from parents or grandparents who's suffering. Make them part of the family. Give them independence, their dignity. And things are difficult. We are all agree. Dementia is not an easy disease, easy illness. But that's very happy kind of thing. Where a happy moment like Vidya ji is sharing, Suvarna is also shared. We have a lot of inspiring moments also. We learn every day. In fact, I can tell you, I can vouch. Dementia person are real human beings. They have, if you love them, they will love you like anything. They will never forget you. My assisted living care home, where people stay for 24 hours, they have left their family and come. But now they don't want to leave my manager. They don't want to leave my care. They have become the family, and they love them. They kiss them. They hug them. I think they are lovable person, and we all need to do that. And family members, please don't shy. There is no stigma. It can happen. It's like diabetes and blood pressure. Just take care and take help. Seek help. We all are there.
Very nicely put, Shailesh. I would like to, go to Suvarna, Dr. Suvarna, for all the research and the work and the intensive work that you have done with no intention of going anywhere else. Uh, I have a question for you, which is, what's your dream? What's your hope for, how our society and how the place of Alzheimer's and dementia and where society might be?
I know, I saw the topic, what's my dream? I think to have a dementia-free society, to not have the word dementia at all, not to have a label, to have a person with dementia, um, to have everybody to have a society environment where it enables people who have some kind of disability to function normally. To have a bus stop where a person with dementia can get into the bus and reach where he wants. To have a safe environment, to have safe homes, to have caregivers with their employees understanding. You walk in at 1 o'clock today and say, hey, what happened? And they say, hey, my dad has dementia. Great, join us. We want a cup of coffee. We want that policymakers recognize dementia as a priority. And what we've learned from the COVID pandemic is that we value our elders. If you look at what's happened in long-term care homes, people have died there. And here in homes where there are elderly people, the youngsters have not gone out because they don't want the older person to develop COVID infections. Our elderly, I have friends doctors who've lived in UK come down to see their parents here, and they say that doctors are doing everything they can to save lives of people with elderly. So we value our elders. So I think that, but caregivers need support. So my dream would be to have a dementia, to not have to do this program. If you ask me, I don't want anymore to do this program. But having said that, I think how do we get there is one thing. And like I said, I'd like to come back to the practical one point that I want to make with some few slides about, again, coming back to content. It's a stage of life where I am in about 15, 20 years of being in the field. I'll just share a few slides and then I'll make it very quick. So, minute. If I can't share, then it's fine.
You should be able to.
So you can see this, right?
Yes.
I think the top one take-home message is involvement of persons with dementia in everything that we do. And it's like Sailesh said, we should see the person, not see dementia. And this is the tagline of Dementia Alliance International. I advise all of you to go to their website. And it's about, the organization is by people with dementia for people with dementia. And they are so articulate about how to do this. So, and again, coming back to today's top point, we need to learn how to engage them in everything that we do. Not just in their homes, not just rehabilitation, but to actually engage with our organizations. So I would say that if we are doing this program without a person with dementia on the panel, then we are not, that's where we have to go. And that is why I say your topic is so important. We're talking about it. I'm not sure how many programs do have this. So what is it and how do we do it? 3 minutes. Meaningful engagement is very person-centered. It encourages and invites people with dementia to purposefully participate in the work of the organization to which they belong. And it could be in many different ways. It could vary. It will depend on their abilities, their skill, their personal history, and available opportunities. As I mentioned, it's difficult in our country because for few reasons, people come late in diagnosis, they're advanced, and there's a lot of stigma. But how can we do it? Now we are all running organizations. So we have to encourage them to be with us. For that, we need to have an encouraging attitude from each one of us, get them to do something, and have the staff be knowledgeable about dementia. It's a participatory approach, nothing about me without me. This has been taken from disability work, and that I think should be one of the things that, if you want to call it a dream, yes, that's a dream. Encourage them to speak for themselves, listen to them, engage them in dialogue. They need to be able to express their opinions, however they do it, whatever they do. And we all know that we are able to communicate with people with dementia, even in very advanced stages. They're able to communicate. We don't know their language. It's not about them knowing our language. We don't know their language. And then we must help them we must get influenced by them. And the decisions that we make should be based on their decisions. And this is based on recognizing their skills and abilities and being respected. So how could we do it? So if they're in the very early stages, they can be parts of you get to give them membership on boards, on committees, on advisory groups, encourage them to speak. They work with us, they review materials. Is this picture okay? Is it big enough? I want a red picture, Mr. So-and-so. Is this a red picture? All of us know cognitive impairment. We can take their help. We work with children. We ask a 3-year-old or a 6-year-old child, what do you want to eat today? Do you want to eat whatever, dosa you want to eat? They tell us what they want, right? And then they can also help us in the organization. So a little bit, this is a research project that we're doing. It's called STRIDE. It's a 7 countries project. It's called Strengthening Responses to Dementia in Developing Countries. And here what we are trying to do is Dr. Meera Tabiraman, chair of ARDSI. She is the lead for this, NGO lead, with Narendra. And we have early career researchers. We have Priya Thomas from NIMHANS. We have Jaita and Sadia, who are actually doing the work. So the aim, we will develop a toolkit to reduce stigma. So we hope that we can come back to you with the toolkit so you can use it. Everybody cannot do everything. So this is one of the things. Understand what is the impact of dementia, and then develop a model for care, economic model, and then hopefully influence national dementia policy. But with today's topic, you can see that looks like a complicated map, but it's a map towards reaching improvement of quality of life of persons with dementia. And we had a workshop, it was called a Theory of Change workshop. And we, for the first time, had a person with dementia sit with us, participate with us, talk to us. And it's also mentioned in the map. in this blue place, persons with dementia are recognized as experts in their own care and as productive members of society. So Sadia, our psychologist from RC Hyderabad, this was her experience when she was with the person with dementia. It was very positive. So there's no need to be afraid. We don't know how, we should learn how. But once we learn how, it's a process. It's not, oh, there's somebody with dementia, now we bring him in. Not at all. It has to be a very structured, very empathetic, very ethical process. But I'm just sensitizing us to the fact that it needs to be done and that it can be done to some extent. Then the person with dementia came and had dinner with us in the evening, or with all so-called experts. And he was sitting with a national policy expert, and that person didn't know he had dementia. He actively participated in the dinner, and they came for the second day. And they even spoke. So this is possible. And then we have a national advisory group for the project. We have Vidya here, and you can see that all members of the advisory group said that we need to include persons with dementia in all our meetings. So we need to have a forum for them, and we need to have how do we facilitate? Now you might say, okay, you want us to, how do we do? So we need to provide those guidelines as well. And I'd like to, I think this is the one experience after that we had. So this was Dementia 2018 conference in Bangalore. So we thought after our theory of change workshop, we should involve a person with dementia. So he was sitting in the audience. He's a National President's Award winner. He was a teacher of physics in a reputed college in Bangalore. And he had scores of students, but then he had developed memory loss, and he had diagnosed dementia in him. So he can't remember much, right? But he was participating, and we were very happy to have him in the audience. While he was sitting, the girl here is Sonia. She's right now doing a neurology residency in America, but she was here working with Nightingale's Medical Trust. This conference was organized by them with RC, and she was sitting with the family. She facilitated this, and I was sitting behind. And suddenly the gentleman said, the so-called dementia person said, "This is Prakash Raj. He's a famous actor. I'm sure we all know Prakash Raj." And he said, "Hey, this is Prakash Raj. I taught him." And then we said, we didn't expect this. We were quite happy that we have a person with dementia sitting in the audience. He said, "No, I taught him." And then we asked, after the meeting was over, we asked his son. He said, "Yes, he may have taught him because he taught a lot of people." And then we asked Mr. Prakash Raj, and he was kind enough. You can see him here with the person with dementia. And you know what? The person with the gentleman who, was the so-called person with dementia asked Prakash Raj, "Hey, do you remember me?" So you understand, he didn't have a memory loss at that minute. And then after a year, I think after a few months in that college, they had they kind of honored alumni. And I think Prakash Raj took him to the stage. He got his award from this person, and it kind of snowballed into something else later. So you can have these kind of positive experiences. So I'd like to end with this. This is the Alzheimer's Society, a framework on how to engage people with dementia. We can have a discussion. It's a long process, but the goal is to develop an ethical framework. And it's the basis of autonomy, beneficence, justice, and non-maleficence. And the aim is to ensure well-being of the person with dementia, ensure their autonomy, privacy and confidentiality, commitment, and transparency. So with these principles, we need to embark on this process. It's if you talk to Meera, if you talk to anybody, they'll say, no, there are many challenges in India still. Low awareness, large burden of disease, scarce resources, low literacy, stigma. We don't recognize people with physical disability. So these are some of the challenges that we have. But I still think that seeing Sonia's face here, this is something that we should aim for, and it maybe even be possible. That's the dream for today. Thank you.
Indeed, so heartwarming and so hopeful, because, I so strongly feel that we have this myth and this idea of what is ideal and what is normal and what is okay, whereas it's really a string of beautiful moments, and you can have them under any circumstance. There are some questions in the chat box, and I would like to draw your attention to those questions, specifically for a caregiver who has said that my mother is in the final stages of dementia. We started seeing this 15 years ago. I'm exhausted and panicked, and I feel maybe I can get some perspective. So, we see that very often when there is a long term care, there is potential exhaustion and burnout and compassion fatigue as well. So, one by one, each one of you, what would be the 2 or 3 things that you would recommend? Starting with you, Dr. Suvarna.
So what would be, I'm sorry, I was just looking at my phone. What would we recommend?
For the caregiver who might be exhausted over long term care.
I think taking support is everything. Reaching out for support. I think understanding, recognizing first that you just can't do it alone and you should not do it alone. So when a person with dementia and the carer walk in or they're wheeled into the room, it's for, it's difficult for them to do it. It's what do they do? No, what do we do? What can we do? It's very difficult for someone to say, I'm tired taking care of my father with dementia. It's culturally still not acceptable. You have to be very educated, very aware, live in a very kind of aware family for this to be perceived as being a positive thing. Today, it's not in most families, it's still not considered to be positive. So I think, but as all of us in organizations, if we tell them, if you write on a prescription, caregiver needs to watch a movie every week, caregiver needs to meet her sister, the caregiver, when was the last break you had? And then I think it is non-negotiable that they take support. And in the advanced stages, you need at least one paid carer to be in the house. So if you're talking about people with middle class, socioeconomic status, who have some access to resources, it is very well worthwhile for the young mother to have a paid carer, take care, supervise care. So you can't both plan and do, thinking and doing. You can't do both together. You can either do or you can plan and supervise and think. And then you must tell, I would tell a carer that you should continue to take care, but do it in a planning supervisory capacity. Have someone else to share the care. It could be your siblings, it could be your neighbor, it could be anybody. Another thing I would tell them is, what are your priorities? Do you have a child in the 9th grade that who wants to do medicine? When was the last time you sat with him or her and figured out whether their biology classes are going well? When was the last time you focused on the relationship with your husband? When was the last time you even reached out to somebody else who needed help? So I think it's important to not forget your other responsibilities. And the minute you think of your other responsibilities, you will ease up a little bit on caring yourself. You will take help, and you will. And then, see, if they're on this meeting, they already know. They're already with ARDSI. They're already with Saathi. So, I mean, we're talking about people who are not accessing care at all, who are burning themselves out. But if they come to us, we would tell them to take support. And we would find ways of connecting them and talk to other caregivers. Solutions will come from encourage them to come. They'll say, no, I can't leave my son, my father, even for 2 hours, doctor. How can I come for the caregiver meeting? If they come once and they talk to 10 other caregivers who actually find it useful to come, then they will come again. So you as a professional, you can convince them to attend the meetings, attend the webinars, talk to other caregivers, read up how others have found solutions. And then it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. Today we don't know how to do it, but in 5 years, 10 years, they'll all be in books. We'll know how to do it. And it won't anymore seem something very special. We won't need so much, hopefully, compassion. It'll just be something that we do. And so I think that's what I would say. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was so comprehensive. I actually made notes in the chat box. So I would like to ask Shailesh, would you have something to add to what Dr. Suvarna said in terms of what would you advise caregivers?
Dr. Suvarna has said everything. There is nothing much to left. But still, I think as we all, I repeat again that we need to take help. We need to ask help because it's for our loved one. It's not being selfish. There should not be guilt. And I think don't overdo. When you do overdo, like it's like a rubber band. If you stretch and
Mm,
stretch, it
great
elect,
point.
electricity will go, the relationship will go away. So because you are a partner in care, so you are equal partner as a carer. So you are the receiver and like giver, and they are receiver. So we have to be both way, vice versa also. I think sharing responsibility, and remember there is no shortcut in caring. In dementia is long-term care. There is no shortcut. We have to take help. And I believe what families have told us. I am sharing the one or two experience. Some people have gone ahead and taken music, dance, spirituality, meditation. I think they have come up with amazing ideas. And what they do is they keep somebody as a paid caregiver or share with their responsibility like husband or a child or daughter-in-law. And they go out and do some music, some spirituality, some prayer, some shopping. So they get a break. If you get a break, if you try to take care of your stress, I think then you will be good care partner. Otherwise, not only you'll abuse yourself, you'll abuse unknowingly the other person also. So take care, and there is no shortcut. Focus on the ability, forget the disability. That's the key.
Beautifully said. Vidya, would you have anything to add to that?
Um, what I believe is that every time we talk of care, caregiving, and person who needs care, we're putting a lot of energy on the cared. But I think it's time we cared for the caregiver to assure them that they're not alone in their journey, and there are NGOs or social workers or facilities that are there to help them, in a role reversal, like a child looking after the parent now because they're affected by dementia or need palliative care. So between the caregiver and the cared, we are again giving a role reversal by assuring looking after the carer, you see. And another point is, I thought that when people want to hire caregivers, it's always better to have two caregivers if they can afford it, rather than have one for 24 hours, because they're prone to burnout, for which it's going to affect them later. So normally we have people who sort of smoke off before the person living with dementia crosses the bridge. And they need, I call it ventilation therapy. We give all kinds of therapies to people who need rehab, but I think carers need a lot of ventilation therapy, whether it's form of support group or just letting their hair down and having a change of duty, a duty to themselves, so that they are not having a burnout, or they go into depression or isolation because they are they're robbed of their their future or their job or their social life, just because they have somebody to that they require to look after. So I think it's important that we care for the caregiver and assure them that they're not alone at all.
Um, you made a great point, Dr. Suvarna, about the fact that, frankly, people who are over here already have some quality of awareness and some sensitivity already. The concern is really all those people who are perhaps not on this call, or, who need to be nudged and possibly need to be given this information. There's a question. There's a question in the chat box, and I was wondering whether there could be a linkage. And it says, "What is the nurse's role in caring for a person with Alzheimer's?" And could there be a connection?
So, I think creating awareness is the key for spreading the message that it just has to go into the community, and we have to do more and more programs. We have to get celebrities involved. We have to get government involved into schools, into colleges. And it's a word that everybody should talk about. Like Sailesh Mishra said, we should talk about it and should be able to say my so-and-so has dementia, and children should know. So that's about reaching out to people. And then by some neighbor, somebody will say, hey, your father's forgetful. I think this is, so that's about that. Now, you asked about nurses. Nurses?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is their role, and
yes,
could there be a role?
So if you think about nurses, they are, in fact, as a doctor, I completely depend on my nurse for providing care for the patient in the wards. And they are the ones who know best the person, regardless of what disease it is. They are the ones who are actually giving the medicines. So they are closest in contact with people with any kind of disease. In the West, you have dementia specialist nurses. So Alzheimer's disease, UK, Scotland, for instance, they have nurses who are trained research nurses. When I was in Cambridge, we had a wonderful lady, Kate, who was a research, and they are trained for the job, and nurse practitioners. So in the West today, a lot of things that doctors do actually is done by nurses and done better by nurses. In our country, they are a potential group of people that can be trained, and they will learn very quickly to care for somebody with dementia, and they will make a big difference. There was a program in Kerala once, many years back, and I think they were training nurses, and maybe in Kerala they are doing it more structured. I don't know if anybody in the panel knows. So, it's a very good idea, and we don't have enough nurses skilled in dementia care, and it's just a jump away for any nurse today who's taking care of older people with any disease to learn about dementia. That's a great idea. And if we could train in our hospitals, it would be a fantastic thing. We can't hear you.
Sorry, Shailesh, what is your experience with specialized nurses or nursing care with dementia? I was just looking for Prasad. Has he dropped off? Maybe he could have contributed as well, but he's not on the call now. Yes, Shailesh.
Yeah, so nursing care, I also see it as a assistant who is providing care or caregiver in Indian context, because we don't have something called nursing in India. In West we have. So here nurse can be only clinical, but for me nurse is a caregiver. I think it's very important. Without them, it's not possible to have a care, proper care, and systematic professional care. As a family member, I can look after my dad or mother, give them proper food, give them the love. But the therapies, timely medication, the way they should be lifted, the way they should be clean, the way they should be engaged. The nurse or caregiver are trained people. I think they are the real hero. I think they are the unsung hero. We don't talk about them. And we need to also, there is no glamour attached to the caregiving and nursing. I think here is a time where the government, the society, civil society, we all of us need to give the glamour in that industry, because it's not about the money, it's about the attitude. When we hire a person at our facility, we don't see education, we see attitude. We ask questions like whether you have a grandparent at home, and we give them some questions about parents, grandparents, and the answer tell us this is the right person to take him. So remember, and whenever you hire somebody, I think that's one request to all of you, all the family members, don't give them other work. In India, we have the habit to give them, okay, just clean the floor, wash the utensil, you wash the clothes. No, they are the carer. They are the heroes. They are the nurses who have come to just take care of the person. I think their involvement, their keeping busy with the person is very important. Don't involve them in household things.
Yes, that is certainly a big issue with hired help, because sometimes people feel that, let me make the most of the help that I'm hiring.
Yeah.
So, you know, uh, yeah, I have some funny stories there too. But that said, I was just thinking about, it is time, and it is a conversation that one can keep having. What are those things that perhaps keep you up or bother you, uh, as you go about soldiering on doing the wonderful work that you do? What is it that bothers you and keeps you up? I will start with you, Sailesh.
For me, is the apathy from the government, total ignorance and neglect towards senior citizens and dementia, Alzheimer. All of the world, its smallest country has a dementia national policy. ARDS is quietly working on it, but government is just ignore them. Until we have government policy, until we have a force from government, the civil society, the corporate, the institution, academic will not come up. So my request is, my dream, if you say, government should come up, because politicians are growing old and they will have dementia one day.
Ouch. Yes, that's a possibility given the statistics. So I'll go to Vidya next. Vidya, what is it that bothers you, that pains you?
Um, Firstly, I'd like to just update. Artsy has given a strategy report to the government of India, the Union government in 2018, and there's a very strong follow up by people who can reach out and get the needful done. But we all know that, getting work done that side is reaching a destination on a passenger train. Okay, it will reach there. It just depends on where the train gets derailed or which station it stops at. But we are continuously working on it. That's one. Two is, I don't know if I sound irrational, but nothing bothers me. I don't look at what other people are doing. I turn myself outside in. I look at the people who are helping me grow within, who are actually rejuvenating me in every effort I'm doing, and that's my contentment. And if I find that there's somebody in need of assistance of any kind, I invite myself as a guest to extend myself, which I'd rather do than go social visiting. So, I'm, optimist, a horse with a mare with blinkers. My destination is a dementia friendly society, inclusion, and just love unconditionally to make them reach where you'd like them to be. Thank you.
Wow, that just like warms the cockles of my heart. Just, uh, Dr. Suvarna, what?
I think we should stop with what Vidya said. I, I think we should listen and what Shailesh said.
Yes,
I think both is what
yes.
you have. I think that's it really. I will just echo what I won't echo. I will listen to both of them.
Hmm.
And I think that's it really.
No, I have to say that thank you so much. It has, my personal desire has been to bring people from different disciplines, different perspectives, and to be able to look at a situation. And it's only at the points of intersection of different disciplines can there be new solutions. If there was only one way of looking at something, then we would have gotten the solutions long ago. So, can we create more such forums, more such opportunities where there can be an exchange? To me, that in itself is an act of finding common ground, an act of making friends. I am glad that to some extent we have made some friends today. among ourselves. And I do think that in making friends ourselves, we may have made some friends with Alzheimer's or dementia as well. And we are so grateful. We are so grateful for your time and your wisdom and your insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bhavana. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Anybody
much.
that may have anything to say, please feel free.
Thank you, Bhavana, for having me over. Great professionals like Dr. Suvarna and Shailesh. With all the experience, I'm going home with a lot of new learning, you know, and all the participants who've been very interactive, you know, and just to assure that available 24, not 24, but 28 hours a day. If you call and it's not answered, I promise you will get a call back. That's all I need to say.
Thank you, Bhavana ji, for wonderful session. Just the last line from RC, we all say every time, remember those who don't remember. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a very good evening and a wonderful weekend. Thank you all for spending time with us.
Thanks, and you too.
Thanks, Bhavana. Thank you so much. Wonderful.